Okay, councillors and staff, we'll get started. So I declare the May agenda briefing open at 4 p.m. Thank you everyone for attending. The disclaimer, agenda briefing sessions are used to inform councillors on the items of business to be presented and discussed at the forthcoming ordinary council meeting. These meetings are open to members of the public who may request to present a deputation to council relating to an item on the agenda. No decisions are made at these meetings, although councillors can request additional information or alternative wording be provided to allow for motions to be prepared for consideration at the forthcoming ordinary council meeting. Any statement regarding any planning or development application made during an agenda briefing session is not to be taken as notice of approval. Anyone who has an application lodged with the Shire must obtain and should only rely on written confirmation of the outcome of the application and any conditions attached to the decision made by council. An audio and visual record will be made by means of live streaming of these proceedings and uploaded to the Shire's YouTube page for viewing. The acknowledgement of country. The Shire of Harvey acknowledges the traditional custodians of the land and their continuing connection to the land, waters and community. We pay our respects to all members of the Aboriginal communities and their cultures and to elders past, present and emerging. Records of apologies and leave. I have received an apology from Councillor Hitchcock and Councillor Boyland, and there's a leave of absence for Councillor Crispin. Declarations of members and officers' personal interest. There will be a few of those, I suggest today, councillors. So we've got some up on the screen that have already been lodged. I'll go around. Is there any other declarations of members or officers' personal interests? Councillor Coleman?
Yeah, I just want to reiterate that I have an indirect financial interest in item 5.5.2, the Shire of Harvey Community Grants Program with the Harvey Men's Shed.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Coleman. What I'll do, I have agreed that when that item comes up for discussion, if there are any questions, councillors, relating to the Harvey Men's Shed, specifically, I'll ask Councillor Coleman to step out while that discussion takes place.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on. Deputations is nil. Into the officers' reports. The CEO reports is nil. 5.2, infrastructure services. 5.2.1, which is the Braidwood Drive, Borwin Road and Leisure Drive proposed traffic safety improvements. This is a further report, councillors. Do we have any questions? Nil, thank you. Move on to 5.2.2, lot 200 Nicholson Road, Cookanup, the proposed road widening and dedication of land. Councillors, do I have any questions on this one? Councillor Capragrego.
Yeah, just I have to apologise, I didn't get on Google Maps or anything to really get a good idea where the location is. But the way I understand, we're purchasing a strip of land off the owner so that the road widening can be taken place. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
So
yeah.
what was the main reason? Is that road a popular road? Is it a bus route or?
Well, look, the road, it's a public road located on private land. So basically, the road was built many, many years ago, and way before our time. New owners haven't lived there long, went to survey their western boundary because they needed to do something to their fence, and they found that the road is built in their property, not in the road reserve. So there's obviously two options. One is build a new road in the road reserve, or buy the land that where the road is now, negotiating with them. So we got to evaluate. We did an estimate to build a new road of about $150,000 plus, and it is boggy ground and all sorts of things. engaged a valuer to do a valuation on the actual land where the road is, to see how much that would be. So we got a valuation and communicated that with the owners. They were quite amenable to basically leave the road where it is and for us to purchase that land. I think it was about 20 grand the cost to purchase land, plus then other bits and pieces, preparing the title and this, that and the other. So yeah, so that's the recommendation. Leave the road where it is, buy the land, and then the land, even though we buy it, it then becomes road reserve. So it's not our land. It gets amalgamated with the existing road reserve, and then we've got a management all over it.
Do we need to realign the fence?
There is an existing fence already there in the right place, but it's in pretty poor condition. They've purchased the materials and all that, so I'm recommending that as part of the process we actually erected the fence for them using the materials that I've already purchased. So it's a bit of a 50-50.
Okay.
And a gesture of goodwill, given that they've been so cooperative.
Perfect. Thanks.
Any further questions, councillors? Okay, 5.3 sustainable development is nil. Surprise, surprise.
It will be a late item, Madam Chair, for next round.
Okay, thank you. 5.4 corporate services, 5.4.1 financial statements as at the 30th of April 2024. Any questions, councillors? 5.4, is that a yes or a no, Councillor
Yes.
Brommer?
Yeah, just wanted to clarify on capital revenue and capital expenditure. There's a very large variance now. Can you just update me, Dean, on why that was? I couldn't remember, that's all.
Through you, Chair. We have our Manager Finance, so I might get him to explain that.
Thanks, Sunil.
Through the Chair, the main reasons for the deficits in the capital revenue and the capital expenditure is that we budgeted for 2 community precincts majorly, and we didn't get through those precincts, Harvey and Australian precincts. We didn't spend the money, so we didn't borrow the money from so that was the main reasons for those ones. And there are a number of other projects as well in the road works basically, which we didn't end up achieving those ones, and they are getting carried forward in the Forward Capital Works program to the next financial year as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sunil. Any other questions, councillors? 5.4.2, which is payments for April 2024. Councillor Dickinson, you had some questions?
Yes, thank you. I just had 2 questions. And I noticed that EFT 71044 to Edgelow Engineering for the Brunswick Tennis Courts. I was just wondering whether that cost is covered by the Shire or whether the tennis club will be covering that cost. And then my other question was the EFT 71334 Brunswick Men's Shed totally sound equipment hire. And same question, wondering whether that was a cost to clubs and whether it was going to be reimbursed or funded by the Shire. Thanks.
Thank you, Chair. So the first one, which Edgelow, that is being covered by the Shire and has been funded from the Office of CEO Consultants General area. So it's an area that was available for that project, well, to be used. And the second one, Mark, did you want to?
Yes, through you, Madam President. Yeah, and the second one related to an event that was run for seniors at the Brunswick Men's Shed. A very successful event, I'm told, was run there, and that we contributed to the sound system to enable the key speakers to speak at the event.
All right, any other questions, councillors? Thank you. 5.4.3, which is the Forward Capital Works Plan 24 to 29. We've workshopped this last week, councillors, so quite a significant document. So do we have any further questions? No? 5.4.4, proposed fees and charges 2024 to 2025. Once again, this has been workshopped. Are there any further questions? Councillor Dickinson.
Yes, thank you, and apologies that I didn't ask this last week, but I thought of these afterwards. And so my first question was in regards to the proposed fees and charges for caravan park inspection fees, and I was wondering whether that only applied to registered caravan parks or whether it also applies to sites that operate through online websites such as hippie camps. That was my first question.
Through you, Madam President. So these fees and charges apply to any business that is registered under the Caravan and Camping Grounds Act. Those fees are set by legislation. The only fee that isn't set by legislation is those whereby we have to go back and undertake sort of repeat inspections, or there's ad hoc things that come up throughout the year, so we can actually charge or establish our own fee for that. Hip camps are obviously an emerging style of accommodation on private property. That is on our list for our compliance officers to get them into that regulatory framework. Once they are approved, they will be registered under the Caravan and Camping Ground regs, and those fees will apply to them as well.
My next question was for 2.9 ticketed events. I was wondering if that applies to events that are free that require online ticket booking, or tickets with a purchase price.
Again, through you, Madam President, these fees only relate to events that there is a purchase price attached to it. So if it's a ticket that's required for a liquor licence or for some other requirement to control numbers, and it's not a paid ticket, then it doesn't apply.
And my last question was with number 9, facilities. I noticed that the Rowlands Hall was not included in the listing of halls. So I just asked the question of whether that was still managed by the Shire.
Yes, it is still managed by the Shire. It was omitted in error. We went through the process of putting fees and charges for the halls together for our bookable system to make it simpler, and in doing that we actually omitted to put Rowlands in. That has been corrected since, so thank you for picking that up.
Thanks, Councillor Dickinson. Any other questions on the fees and charges? Okay, 5.4.5, the proposed revenue and rating plan 24-25. Any questions in regards to this one, councillors? Alrighty, thank you. 5.5, community and lifestyle. I will come back to 5.5.1. Yes. Are there any questions in relation to this one, councillors?
Have we had the attachment sent to us?
Yes.
Yeah, it wasn't on the docs
Eh?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's on the, what's it called? Docs on tap?
Oh, so it wasn't emailed to us?
No, no. No questions?
I haven't seen him yet because I only just got my computer going. Had I had a hard copy, I would have seen him.
Alrighty, okay. 5.5.2, Shire of Harvey Community Grant Program 23-24. So first of all, I will ask, are there any questions in relation to the Harvey Men's Shed? No? Okay then. Are there any questions in relation to this report, councillors, other than the Harvey Men's Shed? Councillor Dickinson, you had some questions?
It was actually answered by staff satisfactory, so I'm fine with the key.
No other questions, councillors?
sorry.
Yep. Councillor Holly?
Yeah, through you, if I may, Madam Chair. I did have a call this morning from the Bidding Up Bowling Club, and they asked, because they've heard that that it's coming up this month for the food. He wanted to know how long it will take once the grant is approved, if it's approved. So, can that be answered, or?
Pass through the chair to the director in regards to once the budget's adopted.
Rick will hate me after this, bidding up.
Yeah, well, look, obviously we came up with a design and we went out and got some estimates. So really, once the budget's adopted, we can just revisit those estimates and just organise the work as soon as the contract is available.
Yep. Okay. I can sway
In liaison, obviously, with the club because it's sort of their project, but we will assist.
Yep. Thank you.
All right, councillors, any other questions in regards to the grant funding? Very good. 5.5.3, the Welcome to Country and Acknowledgement of Country review of the policy. Councillors, are there any questions? Councillor Carboni.
Is there any statutory obligation for us to do a Welcome to Country?
Through to
CEO.
I'd like to take the question on notice if I can, Councillor Carboni. I can get back to you. I do believe there is, and we do mention it in the proposed policy, what the guidelines are, but I will take the question on notice if I can.
Where does the figure of, and I apologise I haven't seen the policy because as I said before I haven't had a computer, where does the $680 figure come up from that's been selected? Senior elder, emerging elder $500, where does that figure come from?
Through the President. So that figure those figures were developed based on precedent and also in discussion with the local Aboriginal elders and traditional custodians to come up with a figure that was agreeable to pretty much everybody and that we had been paying in the past.
So who's that figure getting paid to? Is it getting paid to a corporation or a trust, or is it getting paid to the individual?
It depends on who is actually engaged to do the Welcome to Country. Where for example, Harvey Aboriginal Corporation provides someone to do a Welcome to Country, then it's likely that we would pay it to the Harvey Aboriginal Corporation. If it is a person who has their own ABN, we would pay it to that person directly.
I don't think I have any questions.
Thank you. I'll go to Councillor Bronwyn first and then to Councillor Gregor.
Thank you. Just following up on those questions, is there a link between funding from certain state bodies and having a Welcome to Country and having some form of reconciliation process?
Through the President, I don't believe that there is a formal link, but the legislation that I was talking about earlier, which I can't recall at the moment, does talk about what's expected of local governments, and I guess it's something that is a reputational risk if council were not complying with those guidelines.
If I may. Yeah, thanks for that. I was reading on the Lotteries West site that that is one of the considerations they make prior to providing funding for any projects.
Yes.
If I may, through the President, yes, that's correct, Councillor. There are certain funding programs that will stipulate that they want to see that there is compliance or observance of protocols. Some funding programs will make it a condition of funding, but in terms of our local government funding, it's not a stipulation at this point.
No, I just wanted to make sure.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Capua-Gregor.
Yeah, thanks, Madam President. Just one question. With the payment, have we Harvey Shire done a comparison with other shires to see where we sit as far as, you know, what we're paying and what Dardanup and Murray, wherever, pays? Have we done that little comparison? Because I notice we do it with a lot of other things.
Yes, Councillor, thank you for the question. We certainly have done that with the surrounding shires and a little bit further afield as well. So we have done a comparison and we're within the ballpark with all of our neighbours.
Okay, and also, if I may, just a follow-up question. Have we, the funding to pay for these individuals or for these corporations, do we get that funding from state government or is it come out of the ratepayers? How do we get that money? You know, I mean, I'm not sure, but I'd say that we'd probably do a dozen citizenship events over the year, maybe 8 to 12 of them a year, plus other things. So there's a substantial amount of money there involved. I just want to know where it comes from.
Through the President, thank you. It's actually a budget allocation which we're proposing for next year. However, until now, the payment for the Welcome to Country has come out of the budget that is allocated for the particular event. So, for example, if you have Youth Cella, for example, we have a budget for the event. The Welcome to Country is paid as one of the expenses of that event.
Okay, thanks.
Councillor Holly?
Thank you, Madam President. We've set an estimate of the budget for this Welcome to Country. What happens once that budget is met down the track?
As part of, through the Chair, as part of the ongoing monitoring of the budget, officers will need to bring that to Council's attention if we do run out of budget, and Council will need to make a determination as to whether or not, based on the likelihood of more events happening before the end of the financial year, whether there's going to be a further allocation.
Councillor Councillor Holly?
No, I just said thank you.
Okay, Councillor Caboni?
Yeah, one last question. Of the number of councils that have done away with the Welcome to Country, are you aware of any reputational damage that's been done or any grants that haven't been received because they've done away with it?
Through the President, no, I'm not.
Councillor Bromham?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, through the Chair. Because of the conversation we're having, I'm thinking maybe we need to have some idea of what effect, from a financial point of view, going either way would have. Because if, for instance, Lotteries West won't support footy teams or lights or some other funding requests that we'd have due to a decision we may make, it would be good to be able to make that decision in full knowledge of the impacts. That's my question.
It's not a question.
No, it's not a question. Yeah. It's a request for further information to inform this council report, and I would suggest that it's going to be very difficult to be able to ascertain from all of the grants that are available to a local government which ones require a welcome to or acknowledgement of country as part of their funding agreements. So I would suggest that we could potentially investigate Lottery West, for an example, or some of our current funding grants that have been received to review those FAAs, but it would only be a limited review that could be provided.
So, if I may, I'm just wondering how many Lotteries West grants have we actually utilised in relation to the processes that we've run over the last few years? I mean, could we get some understanding about that as well?
I'm just conscious of the workload on staff in actually, you know, seeking out that sort of information, whether it's going to reflect on the decision-making process by council, whether that information will have a lot of weighting in the decision-making process. So maybe you could do a little bit of homework, Councillor Bromham, and
I can do that.
Pursue that yourself if you're interested.
Not a problem.
Yeah. Do we have any other questions, councillors? Yes.
Madam President, if I may, just the legislation that I was referring to before is the Noongar Kuranija Buduan Past, Present, Future Recognition Act of 2016.
There's your answer, Councillor Cavoni.
Yeah, I'm not sure that that compels the Shire though to have to do it.
All right, any other questions, councillors? All right, we'll move on to matters behind closed doors. Now, we've got an infrastructure services item here, attender. Are there any questions? If so, I'll go behind closed doors. No? Councillor Bromley, you have a question?
I'm just moving to go behind closed doors.
Do you have a question?
No.
All right, then I won't, there's no need to go behind closed doors,
Oh,
if there's
right.
no discussion on it. Okay, councillors, nice and simple. If there's no further discussion or questions, I declare this agenda briefing closed.